Hello?
There you are.
All right. Well, we got our first crash.
Hey, Danielle's back too.
What's that?
So hey, Danielle's back too.
Oh, good. Folks, yes, one of the things I forgot to say in my opening ramble is we are going to be doing some things. Yes, we're just getting that out of the way, Taladar. But the truth is that we are very likely going to have multiple crashes. So with if the stream cuts out, I have to restart it from OBS, and we get back into the game. It's part of the it's part of what happens around here. Um, the reason is that partially because we're going to be doing some extra fancy tricks, or not even tricks, but some heavy lifting on the Roll20 side of things. So we will be I'm sure that it's going to struggle occasionally as it loads in like large images and stuff like that on Roll20. So we always get back online and come back to it. So that's what happens. Okay. Take. Any out of game questions before we get started? No? Going once, going twice. Okay. Take a moment and a deep breath. Let the real world fall away and place yourself up, up, up on the top of White Ridge Tower. This stone and earth spire that rises above White Ridge Mountain, flanked by two hundreds of foot tall statues of Aarakocra Knights, the warriors who have kept the skies of the Wildlands safe and for many years. You can smell cloud, that kind of thickness of the air, cold, damp, blowing past. You can hear the fluttering of many wings and the stern, clipped, jerky voices of the many knights all around you. You have come out of a dream. You have brought back the great bard of song, the Dani Kithreth, from his entrapment in a weapon. Bella has a new weapon with new powers. And you have purchased things from the three-eyed snake in Bella's great dream. You have done so many things, achieved so many great feats of spell and might. You have explored so many places and pushed through so many difficult times to reach this place. this moment. And now, as she reads the stars, Alarka, the female peacock Aarakocra, tells you that in one day, you have one more day until the cleansing rains and the attack will come. What would you guys like to do at that time?
Well, that just kicked the hell out of my adrenaline.
Kicked it out of your adrenaline?
Sorry. Kicked my adrenaline up.
Oh, up. Indeed. You have been placed as something as co-captains of the defense of the tower. So you can order some things as you see fit. Most of the Aarakocran soldiers or knights that are on the screen are coming and going out on these wide-ranging patrols around the tower. And you've been hearing reports of all the battles that they have been conducting with the Scarred Earth cult, as different cells of this cult have been traveling to the tower, if not burrowing, and then occasionally coming up for air. So, and to scout. So, yes, with your adrenaline kicked up, what would you guys like to do with that one day remaining?
So, if I remember correctly, one of the last things that happened in the last session was that Vapos pulled out the orb that he had gotten from Shakas, the orb of flowing storms. And it didn't really behave the way that he wanted it to, and it kind of caused a backlash. So
right.
I think Vapos wants to go into a place of a bit of seclusion and try to focus his efforts on that orb and try to master it, because if he can, then a good control weather spell could cause a huge shift in the battle.
Did we have an ability check involved in that? I seem to remember.
I believe what you did was you had me roll wisdom plus investing some key.
Yes, that's it. And it didn't work out the way you wanted.
It did not. And so it caused some collateral damage in the area, and I was told to be careful with it. So this is my attempt to be careful with it. I want to step away from other people and just kind of try to isolate myself a bit more as I try to wrestle with this thing and get it under my control.
Okay. All right, so you're going to take the time that you need to meditate with. You're going to ponder the orb.
Mm-hmm.
And you are going to see if you can make a new check with it. The stats that I gave you for that item, how often can you cast that spell?
So, control weather specifically is once per day, but it's also got access to lightning bolt, call lightning, and sleet storm all at once per day each.
Okay.
So I can't retry control weather specifically, but I'm hoping that if I can master some of the other spells, that will give me better control over the orb as a whole.
Okay. So you tell me at appropriate times when you think it's an appropriate time. We're gonna have you make 3 checks for your meditation.
Okay.
And you tell me when you think the most appropriate time for your character. When you get to decide when you want to make those checks.
All right.
Just going to. Oh, come on! All right, we may lose the stream here, guys. Hang on a second.
Harass your fingers and
Suppose.
Oh, for heaven's sake! There it is. All right. So in the upper left, we're gonna put the. This is gonna be your skill challenge over here. All right.
Sounds good.
What about the rest of you? How would the rest of you like to spend this time?
I would like to once again solicit feedback on what to do with our wish gem during this fight.
Akiri, hearing this, is going to very sarcastically say, maybe we should wish for them to go away or something, I don't know. And then go back to whatever she's doing.
What is she doing?
She's helping. What is she doing? Interesting thought, but I think she's going around the area, like around of the like houses and this cliff top that we're on, the statue that we're on, or wherever we are. I don't remember at this point.
Can you see the map?
I do, but I don't remember what exactly we're on top of. It's like a cliff or something.
So you're on the top of a stone spire.
That's right.
A couple of stone spires that rise up to the top of the mountain. This is White Ridge Tower. This is the.
That's right.
The heart of the Sword Wings, which is the place that your character has been trying to get to for forever, and wanting to join them secretly. And now you are here amongst the ancient buildings, the library, the meditation shrine of Deisio, who turned out to be a Phoenix Aarakocra, the one and only, perhaps.
Yes, I think.
And the ancient statues of the Sword Wings looming over you with their poses. Yes, go ahead.
I think what Akiri is doing, I think what she's doing is she's going around she's gathered up a little bit of supplies and she's going around kind of the edge and just the area in general. And she's attempting to, I guess, like, sanctify the area, if that makes any sense. To start trying to build up some, maybe a little bit of, like... In the day that she has, she's trying to turn this into as holy of a place to work as she can. To Because her immediate thought is like she's a cleric. She worships a god.
Yes, and one of his festivals is.
So using that combination of and the fact that he will be the most powerful of his festivals tomorrow, she's going to starting to like try to make this area as holy to him as possible to see if that'll help, like. I guess invoke a protective kind of aura around this place from Jeward, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, does she actually have a spell for that, or are you trying to kind of consecrate it just by virtue
She doesn't
of prayer?
have a spell.
The ceremony spell might kind of fall into that
That's
category.
true.
It's not it doesn't do that specifically, but
Yeah, I don't know if she has a. They did just wake up.
Well,
though.
you have, yeah, you have a full, like 20,
Yeah.
It's really more like 2 days because it's the
Yeah.
evening of a day, and then you're gonna have a whole day, and then the attack. So
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Akiri is trying to turn this place into like a sacred ground. Which, like, I don't think there is any like D&D spell equivalent of what she's trying to do.
That's fine. You are consecrating it for Jurk. You are praying to him at the four corners of the place. Are you having a drink?
Yes, she has probably like a beer or like whatever alcohol that they
They
have.
have beer. They also have wine. They have various drinks in storage in caves within the spire.
She's looking
that are
for
mostly gifted to them.
particularly fine one, I think.
You're surprised by some of the wines because they come from places that have a bad history for your people.
I mean,
You know what? She doesn't have the time to think about that at the moment. She's busy. So she's going to. What I'm thinking she's going to do is she's going to take a cup full of, and she's going to keep it like close by, but
Yep.
she's specifically using a.
wow.
Never fails.
So she's going to be taking a like a goblet. And she's going to be using it as like a vessel, and she's going to have like a handful of grain of some kind, like barley or wheat, like the whole grains. And as she's going to start in the middle,
Okay.
and as she does, she's going to work her way in a slow
Okay.
to the edges of the platform, murmuring prayers, and
I only need a bonus action.
slowly like dribbling the liquid on the
What I need to
ground,
know is,
and sowing these grains across the soil as well.
I just.
I'm gonna have to listen back to that because later because there's a lot of background noise. Is your husband playing in a different game?
Mm-hmm. We're doing a one-shot tonight.
Right.
But she's going to start in the middle and kind of dribbling the liquid. She's going to work her way out to this edge of the spire in like a spiral, kind of like dribbling the liquid as she goes and dropping the grains as well, murmuring prayers the whole way.
That's super cool. we're also going to give you some skill checks here. So, Vapos, I want you to make yours too. Actually, because we're gonna get forgetful here. So, Akiri, go ahead and make a wisdom check. No. This would be a roll. You're only cleric? Yeah.
Yes.
So you're going to make a roll. You're going to make a d20 roll, adding your proficiency bonus. And you are going to get advantage on this roll if you can narrate something that happened in this campaign that you would be holding in mind that would strengthen your resolve here, your prayer, strengthen your prayer.
Okay. Give me a second.
Now, Vapos, it's going to be the same thing for you, except instead of strengthening your prayer, it's going to be strengthening your connection to this moment, to living in this moment and meditating on it, on the pondering the orb.
Okay. Yeah, I think for this first step, Vapos is just kind of holding the orb and feeling the tempest that's inside of it. And just I think he's kind of at first treating it almost like it's kind of a caged animal that's just lashing out. And so I think what he's going to do is basically just kind of let the rage of the storm pass through him, but do his best not to kind of rise to the bait and just continue to maintain his kind of serene composure, just kind of try to let the storm wear itself out as best as he can, and then kind of impose his will after the initial burst.
Can you think of a time during these adventures, during this campaign, when that would be relevant to this, to that thought?
Yeah, I think the situation when we were in the tower, when we were dealing with the mind flayer, we were in the situation where like the mind flayer was just very suddenly very aggressive towards us, and it was kind of a lot to deal with all at once. But it wasn't just us being strong that won, because it had that awesome wall of force, but it was the cooler heads prevailing of being able to figure out a way around the wall of force and a way to kind of outsmart the mind flayer, let it wear itself out, and then as it was trying to escape, that was when we were able to take it down.
Cool. Will you make a roll with your proficiency bonus and advantage?
Okay.
There's something else, some other resource you'd like to add. Could consider it.
A wisdom roll plus proficiency? Or just base proficiency?
Yes, wisdom plus wisdom plus proficiency.
Okay. That is a 26.
I feel good about that. For a moment, the wind kicks up, swirling just around you. It's gone. That is a success for you, sir. You see the upper left of the map?
Mm-hmm.
All right. That's a
Awesome.
check mark. Okay. If so, each check mark, you're gonna get each of you, you're gonna get a piece of information. Which may be something that you didn't know, maybe something you already kind of knew. And then you will, if you complete all three, then you'll get you're gonna get an ability, basically, in line with what you're aiming for. You're gonna get a bonus.
Awesome.
Vapos. Your connection with the weather and this meditation. You realize, with the swirling clouds around this stone spire and the what's coming, the cleansing rains have the power to suppress magic. And perhaps more.
All right.
Okay.
What Akiri is going to be meditating on is the first time Jouert showed her Alarka and kind of gave her the direction that she needed for this whole adventure that we've been on.
First dream.
Mm-hmm. That first time, and she's going to use that and kind of trace that thread of memories of like all the adventures they've had, and picking out little bits and pieces of where, looking back, she's seen kind of how Jouert has helped her and her friends throughout this time. And following that kind of thread, she, by the time she reaches this outside area and and like and has fully consecrated this ground, she's thought all the way to where they currently are in the campaign.
She's thought, I see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Following that thread. Cool. Yeah, you remember you remember the dream of seeing the figure in the hood looking down at the ground. So will you make a wisdom and proficiency d20 roll? Essentially a spell attack roll for you. And with advantage.
Not as tasty as Vapus is, but that's an 18.
Okay. In the distance, you hear the faintest sounds of rain starting. In a quiet moment, as you are doing as you described with the consecration, but you are going to succeed. You are going to succeed. You're going to realize that you need to get the plume, the magic item from the box in the central temple, in order so that your brother can change the battlefield. Sorry, what's that?
I said, okay.
I also.
In a very thoughtful, I'm trying to figure out how to do that way.
Okay. Does anybody else want to do something this time? I should have said you have like a day and a half. You have like a half day and then a day.
I had a thought, but now I'm wondering if I misunderstood what Shadir was saying on how he can change things.
How's that?
Well, I guess I was thinking that, like we would, like he could send us somewhere.
Yeah, that's what you were told.
Oh, okay. Okay. So Mavra has been thinking about that and wondering where, I mean, obviously she's been thinking she has to go to Deldam. And she was thinking back about Gnome telling her about a book of poetry in a forge at Deldam that Hadong Dunjaw has.
Right.
And she's wondering if that is actually, if that's important and if that should be something that she should do first.
Interesting. You said it was a gnome?
Yes. I think an astrologer gnome, I think it was.
Not a Poniorm?
Let me look back at my notes. Oh no, actually my notes just say it just says gnome. It just says gnome. Well.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wrote gnome. So
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Are you thinking of the book of Psalms that Kundra Chainbraid lost in the deeps?
That's what I'm wondering.
In the battle that you dreamed of with your mother?
Possibly.
Yeah. The question is, what do you want to do about it, though?
Well, go get it. I mean, that's what I'm wondering is if it's important that I should get that before we do anything else.
Are
Like
you
I
asking
don't
me?
know. Well, I guess so.
you're gonna have to rely on what your character knows, and what you as the player know, to decide what to do. I can't really tell you that, but I can tell you that you would need the plume, the incandescent plume.
Isn't that where
to
we are?
do the travel. You are in the place where the plume is. Remember, you saw through the door
Yeah.
the box.
Yeah, we know that Daicio has it.
Yeah, so we need to figure out how to get that. That's what we need to do. Okay, I have another question then. So apparently where this book is, where Hadong Dunjaw is at this forge in Deldium. So would I know in all my visions and everything, would I have an idea of where this forge is in reference to anywhere to where we would need to go get to fight with Belvroxus and all of that?
Ah, okay. So you had a you were told of an ally, Hasdoin
Yes.
Benja.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, he doesn't have the book.
Oh, okay. That's what I understood from my notes, but that was a while ago, so yeah.
But he could have helped you get it. He can help you get it.
Okay.
The thing is that you guys chose to go here.
Okay.
And he was an ally at the brewery of the Master Brewers Guild.
Uh-huh.
And he should be a dwarf, not a.
No, I think the gnome told us about him. I think is what.
That's possible.
Yeah.
But I think it was actually the Qui Fitziwell, the half-elf former master of Vapos. Could be wrong though. Oh no! You're right. I'm wrong. It was a Poniorn in Arkney, who read the stars and told you about that potential ally.
Okay.
Mavra and the monster below. He told you to go to the forge and go to the brewery. There is an ally who can help you find the book of poetry that... he said book of poetry. Book of Psalms, as actually Mavra would know. That fell into the depths. The League wants you to retrieve it. But heck, I give you kudos. Take inspiration for remembering that.
Well, notes.
Close enough. I think that's very good. I don't. Are you asking me? I haven't heard what you want to do with this time though.
Just basically, I'm thinking about what Shadir said and just trying to figure out where I need to go and what I need to do. That's basically because my thought is, well, we need to go to Deldium. It was my thought.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I seem to remember Shadir saying that when the time was right, you needed to speak a true name. I think of the demon that's involved there.
Yeah, that was my thought when I heard that.
Right. He can send you places that you have a connection to. And so if you can remember things or people who are important to you in Deldem, he can send you to where you need to go. Or take the group, the wanderers, where they need to go.
Okay.
Are you... Well, these are all good questions. I'm just wondering if you have an action that you want to do with this time.
Well, I guess not. I guess just
Sharpen your axe, huh?
yeah, I guess so.
I mean, I think one thing you just did is you remembered a name. How's
Yeah.
going Dunjaw.
Yeah.
So Maverick could be remembering and writing these things down.
Okay. Yeah.
Or figuring out how to get the Candescent Plume or something like that. Akiri and Vapos, you guys are just going to have to be interrupty when you think it's an appropriate time to make another roll.
Okay. I mean, I've got another thing ready.
Go for it.
Yeah, so once I've kind of let this thing kind of rage over me and shown that I'm unaffected, I think I'm going to try to, rather than trying to like domineer and control it the way that Jakas almost certainly did, I think Vapos is just going to try to kind of coexist with it, like let it, or kind of show it that it doesn't matter what kind of rage it's going to throw my way, I'm still going to be here. But I'm also not going to try to domineer it and change its purpose. I'm just going to change the direction towards which its purpose is directed. And as I'm doing that, I'm kind of thinking about the creature whose name escapes me that was following us around while we had the wyvern eggs, and how like it wasn't really an ally, like it had its own thing that it was trying to do, but our goals were aligned, and it helped us on some occasions and we helped it on some occasions.
The Gray Render.
Yes, that's the one.
And you connect that to the storm
Yes.
that you are going to coexist with, although it is not truly yours, and you're not trying to make it truly yours.
Right.
But there is the possibility that you could go down the mental path of remembering how you guys gave over the Grey Render to Stray and her traveling menagerie. So that's going to be an interesting roll. Go ahead and make a Wisdom and Proficiency plus with a D20 roll.
All right. That is a 23.
Very nice. For a moment, you are coexisting with the storm. And you are beginning to realize how things are all coming together here. And you are starting to realize that with all of these terrible enemies, They all have a stake in what happens in this place. And oh no, good night, Danielle. Oh, thank you for interacting with the lore. Good night. You are realizing, Vapos, that as you guys are going to be fighting multiple battles at the same time in the same place, or in different places, also in the same place, that enemies will be coming through. And that to win the battle here, you're going to have to win 2 other battles there and there.
Okay.
All these places where you will have to take your storm at the same time. Hang on, I have to reply to Kate for a second.
Okay.
It's okay. You can give me the information later if it's more convenient for you. I really don't know what I should do to prepare. I don't really have... Like, I guess I have to reattune to my bow, probably. You know what I'm gonna do? I am going to read some of my books.
Which book?
I'm going to read the oral histories of the burned spirit tribes. I'm a fast reader. I can get that done.
I'm trying to think if that requires a set of skill checks. I guess it probably doesn't.
I mean, it would for Brett, but probably not Bella.
I mean, that's just cool. I like that. I'm actually trying to decide whether to read this entire thing right now or just paste it.
Paste it, let her read it herself.
Yeah. um. The Okay. Here's what we're gonna do. Oh! Oh! Oh.
Oh?
Yes. Oh, Kate. So the newly revived Vadani Kithrath is kind of hovering about. And as you begin reading, he slowly begins to strum his lute and sing. And then he pauses and he says thoughtfully, I wonder if we might not prepare something for the coming battle. Something to help us.
Battle ballad.
A battle ballad. Yes, you happen to say that as you walk by, Akiri.
Yeah, she's still doing her smile, just like battle ballad.
Mm-hmm. He says, indeed, you are a writer of travel and culture, and I, a singer. You are seeking to become a great bard. I am one. But we have to push against, what was it, 4 or 6 great bards who are captured and being used, their powers to be used against their will? Isn't that right?
I suppose that's true.
Don't you think it would behoove us to have a great work ready that keeps our own saga alive against theirs?
That's interesting. You're thinking of almost a counter-propaganda situation on a metaphysical level.
Indeed. I don't know if writing your own legend, the legend of the Wanderers, would do it or not. Because, after all, you're all about discovering the stories of others, aren't you?
Yes, but I've written my own stories as well. And the story of the Wanderers is not just my story. In fact, it's mostly not my story.
should we work on something, say with the book that you are currently perusing?
Absolutely. I would love to.
Very well. So, Bella, you can make checks and call up memories of travel. And I will paste sections of the 2-page burned spirit legend that I wrote up that you can then use to fight back against the actions of the captured great bards during the battle.
All right. Cool.
So, the Burned Spirit tribe is larger and more powerful than many savage lizard folk tribes in the Wildlands. In large part, they have thrived due to the defenses of their home, which protect the tribe from the incredibly dangerous monsters in the area. The tribe is run by a matriarchy of lizard folk mother druids, the Nest of Matrons. The most powerful druid among them is Chitheus, who, by the way, was mentioned as Frasher's egg mother. Within the swamp, this tribe lives in some ancient crumbling ruins half sunk into the Mistmire. And legend tells that there are many secrets within the ruins that only the matrons know. Supposedly, the burned spirit once built these crumbled temples, an ancient lizard king who came from another world. Nowadays, the tribe lives apart from the rest of the Mistmire's denizens, watching as civilization encroaches upon their territory. Trade and negotiations occasionally do occur, particularly with the crazy old wizard in his tower to the west, Krakir's lighthouse tower. Relations with the nearby towns and fortresses are less good, especially when the civilized people come fishing or eel catching in territory claimed by the tribe. While there's no official religion of the tribe, they mostly worship Semuanya, the lizard folk god, or the dragons, which are the kobold gods or ancestors, like the burned spirit itself. And as you are reading that, you can feel the potential power of a great bard flowing into you. Do you have a memory you'd like to call upon, perhaps?
I'm just completely distracted by the spelling of Krakir.
You
You're
know,
welcome.
Akiri has a bracelet from that dude.
Yep. One of the early things in this campaign was to try to do quests for item upgrades, which basically failed immediately. By the way, Bref, we haven't heard you in a while. I'm just checking on you.
Oh yeah, I'm just contemplating how I can be of use here.
Okay, just making sure.
You know what? I'm going to go all the way back to the beginning of the campaign. And I'm going to think about how a bunch of first level adventurers who barely knew each other and had no idea what the fuck they were doing decided, you know what? It is time to fight a red dragon. And how that was how we met. And I'll tell the whole story to Vidani about how, like, this is how our adventure started. And how, you know, it kind of makes sense that here we are fending off the end of the world. In a sense, one of the least dangerous things we have ever done. Because our entire story has been filled with encounters that we frankly should not have survived. And that, I think, is the story theme of the Wanderers.
Amazing. Please make a d20 roll with your proficiency and charisma bonus. With advantage.
That's a 28.
Wow. You know what? Just realized. For a few moments, you are surrounded by the sound of the turning pages in a library. You're very far away. You are, in a sense, in your place. Turning pages, scratching of quills. And in that piece, we're going to put a check mark. So this is the, guys, this is in the upper left of the map. I don't know if you're looking there. So Bella's great work. Is coming along. So Bella, you can interrupt and please, you got to interrupt and tell me when you think it's going to be appropriate to make another check. And if we get 3, well, each check mark, I'm going to give you another piece of these legends. All right. And as you're reading, you come to realize that most likely, at least one of those who dwell below is going to show up here. In the attempt to take 2, well, at least one great bard.
Yeah.
Because they know a LARP is here. I gotta turn off the library ambiance. There we go. Okay. Bref, how would you like to use this intervening time?
So, I'm not good at many things, and there are no boats or seas around here. One thing I am good at is killing things by chopping them into little bits. And I know many of these sword wings are mighty warriors, and they likely have little they could learn from me, but I imagine there are those here who have perhaps grown a little comfortable being stuck at home base, and perhaps their fighting skills need a little polishing off. I'm gonna take a look around and see if I can find any such people, and kind of say, hey, we know that a great battle is coming. How about we brush up and spar a little bit?
Cool. You're gonna find that most of these guys are pretty tired. They are flying out, doing battles, and coming back here to rest. Also, there was some sparring the other day with some of the youngsters who want to become swordlings. On the other hand, there is one person who has been studying the books and has a lot of frustration about not being able to go out and do his nightly quests, the librarian. And he will gladly spar with you. And as you do so, you're also going to catch the attention of Sezig Lagaduk and a few others who will watch with interest at the mastery of non-flying combat. Bref, I'm going to go ahead and ask you to pick. Is strength your highest stat?
Constitution is.
Interesting. What's your highest mental stat?
Wisdom with a +2.
I'm going to ask you to make a wisdom check with your proficiency bonus. And do you have a memory you can call on from this campaign to give you advantage as you gain insight into the coming fight?
Well, once again, hearkening back, as Bella did, to the early days, I do remember after we inadvertently opened a portal in the town that we had been kind of using as a home base shortly there. And there were just this constant stream of weak but incredibly numerous demons pouring out of it. And, me being who I am, took to chopping as many of them into tiny pieces as I could. But it was through the quick thinking of my friends that the actual portal itself was sealed. It was not a fight I could win through brawn alone, and I realized sometimes you need to look at the overarching cause of the conflict instead of simply smacking the first thing in front of you. And I tried to impart this idea of keeping the whole battlefield in your mind, even if you are facing off one-on-one with an enemy.
I like that. Yeah, that was fun. Go ahead and make that roll with advantage. As you spar and get to know.
Gosh, that would be a 13 with my proficiency bonus.
Bummer. That's not going to work out super well for you. Well, Bref, you try to get a sense of the battlefield by sparring upon it and calling up that memory. Unfortunately, you don't really learn the battlefield. You just kind of learn, wow, it's really hard to fight an enemy who dive bombs you out of the sky, slashes you with their wing blade, and flies out of range again. So unfortunately, that is not a success. But you can keep trying. Okay. Do you guys want to make more checks as the days go on?
Sure, I can do my last one, I think.
All right.
So Once I've gotten into this state of kind of coexistence with the storm within the orb, I'm going to kind of move on to the last step, which is kind of or trying to actively direct it. Not in a like domineering, you need to do what I say kind of way, but more in the way that like an ally asks for assistance, and I'm thinking just about specifically the fight with Jakas, where like I was fighting against Jakas or directly, and no one else was able to directly participate in that fight. But at the same time, there's no chance in hell that I could have won that one-on-one fight without their help, because everyone else was supporting and being able to provide assistance in ways that weren't immediately tangible.
That was epic. All right. So make one last check as you come to the end of the next day. Oh!
That is a 14. If I've still got advantage.
Okay. You did get advantage, yes.
Okay, good.
Unfortunately, that is a fail. Okay. So, so write down the bonus that you're going to get. Okay.
Okay.
So with your control weather, you were never going to be able to make the cleansing rains go away completely. They are bound to the gods. However, you will be able to, when you're on this battlefield in the final fight, it's only one. You will be able to get a 25 plus 25, a 50% roll on whether the rains are washing away magic or not. The magic items, etc. Those of the battlefield. On the battlefield.
Okay.
You're pretty sure that you're going to have to smash the orb in order to pull that off. Just expend all of its power.
Gotcha. All right.
All right. Who else wants to make a roll as the preparations come on?
Well, we do need that plume.
Well,
So,
I assumed you would want to keep consecrating.
yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
No, yeah, I think she's just gonna keep consecrating then.
So would you like to call upon a memory to try to get advantage?
Yes, give me a second again.
Bella or Breath, you could jump in. If you have something ready to go.
Seeing that my immediate fighting skills are maybe not what I thought they were, I'm instead going to talk more about a life lesson I got, where sometimes giving up something you shouldn't to achieve what you want. I recall the time that our former companion was murdered in the streets, and taking something of his from the scene of the crime, I made a pact that I should not have. It seemed like the right choice at the time, but of course I now realize it was not. I ended up making so much more grief, not just for myself, but for all my friends. And so I take this opportunity to remind them that sometimes there is encounters you will have on the battlefield, and your blood may boil, and your dearest friend may fall by the sword, but you need to take some time and consider before you act.
That seems very Breath. Breath the barbarian, who takes time to who's learned that he must take time to consider before he acts. Love it. Please make a roll. Wisdom plus proficiency with advantage.
That's better. That's a
Good
25.
thing you had advantage. That is success. Breath, you're going to come to a certain level of insight. You're going to realize that if what you've heard is true about how the battlefields are going to be changing, you are going to need to try and pause and consider your next move and your position if you're going to be useful on every battlefield. Fair enough?
Got it.
Okay. Akiri, do you want to make a roll?
Yes. She's actually going to think back to actually before the campaign when
Before the campaign.
yeah, when Zhurk first called her to like become a cleric in his name, and just how that has shaped her life up to this point, and the work she's doing at the moment, consecrating as she goes, and how she's doing it this time. Is she is taking, she's starting to hang, she's starting to make like, starting to take like stalks of like barley and wheat and tie them and hang them from the eaves of the buildings around to try and so that they can like blow in the wind a little bit.
That's cool. All right, make a roll. Yeah, make a roll with advantage.
You said with
With
advantage, right?
proficiency.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah, I'm really looking for events from the campaign.
So-
Gotcha.
But just go ahead. It's okay.
Listen, this campaign's been going on for 4 years. A lot's happened.
A lot's happened.
I don't remember half of it.
That's that's kind of what I'm tapping into. 24, though. Even without advantage, you could have gotten that. That is a good roll. Akira, you realize that you and you alone are going to have influence over Daisio to get him to help in the coming fight. And you realize that with the macabre death thoughts upon him and his desire to shatter the cycle in which he feels trapped, it may not be easy to get him to fight on the side of good. And you're going to have to make constant efforts in that direction. All right.
Sounds good.
Okay. Bella, would you like to make a check for your great work that you're working on?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that the next kind of like part of the story that Bella focuses on is like the sort of the fact that over history the Wanderers have been just a really diverse group. Like we're made up of all different like really all different races and backgrounds and cultures and personal histories. And she's like, I think that we could turn this into a really good metaphor for how the fight against our enemy needs to take place. You know, this could be seen as a big cosmic struggle between different gods and powers, but I think that a more meaningful struggle is the struggle of the united people of the Wildlands against a fate that nobody asked us if we wanted to fulfill. And so taking the diversity of the Wanderers and making it a stand-in for the unity of the Wildlands against those who dwell below would probably be another good theme that we would want to explore.
I love it. Roll with spicy advantage.
keep going to
And that's proficiency plus charisma?
Yes.
That's a 30.
Wow.
Natural 20.
In fact, it was a natural 20. So that's a success. Here is the next part of the legend. The legend of Typha. Long ago, before the hairy ones came with their pumps and drains, before the wizard Krakir came with his bright tower, before the castles and temples fell into ruin, the burned spirit ruled the entire Mistmires, the great Mired King. In those days, the mists were even thicker and deadlier than they are today. Tremendous creatures grew and lived and thrived among them, just as they do now, but even larger and more terrible. The hungry Kuna haunted the mire and devoured all who ventured into a certain part of the swamp. Even the burned spirit feared the pyrohydra, a beast of 16 heads that all breathed black fire. This is the way things were. As hungry Kuna grew, she became unsatisfied with the food she could find in her part of the Mistmire, or perhaps she ate everything that was there. In any case, she began to launch her terrible raids against outlying camps of the tribe. Her many hungry heads could devour an entire village in one night. It was a terrible time. The burned spirit kept the temples and palace safe, and Kuna dared not face the king directly. But neither could the king venture forth to slay the terrible fire-breathing beast. Thus the king called for heroes of the lizard folk to come forth and defend the Mire Kingdom's settlements. Many champions arose, each one taller and stronger than the last. Fisk, Blackscale, Rook, Sharpclawed, Zisk, Redtooth all marched into the deepest Mistmire to challenge the beast and protect villages, but all were slain, for every time they cut a head from the beast, 2 more grew in its place, and fire did nothing to the pyrohydra of legend. Right. So you got two sections. Bella as a bonus for rolling a 20. Well, actually, I'll say that. I think that's enough information. That's a lot. That's a lot of text.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. Akiri or Bref, would you guys like to make your third check?
Yeah.
Or let
Give me a second.
If you need a second, I can go. If
Go
that's
for
all
it.
right.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. The final lesson I'm going to try to impart. It's important to remember why you're fighting. You're not fighting for place. You're not fighting for a memory. You're not fighting for some promise you made a long time ago. You're fighting because those around you, these fellow Swordwings, they are your family. And I'm going to recall the time I realized that after having spent so long tracking down the murderous Iron Wolf bandits who had murdered my previous family, finding that vengeance, it was the right thing to do. They were terrible slavers and murderers, but the greater gift that quest brought me was coming to realize that it was these new companions, these wanderers that I was a part of, who had become my new family, and they are the ones that I'll be fighting for as the battle comes.
Awesome. Go ahead and make your roll with advantage.
That's 24.
Oh, 24. Yes. Success. For a moment, your ears are full of the shouts and sea shanties and the noise of oars clattering on a hollow deck. And when as the clouds flow around the tower, you feel as though you are on a tremendous stone ship sailing through them. You have that sense of motion as the clouds blow by, looking like the ground or the sea. That is a success. So, Bref, as you're learning these battlefields, you are going to come to realize that the Swordwings, these knights, are very practiced at dealing with the rank and file Scarred Earth cult enemies. Very skilled. They can lightly cut through the oncoming armies. However, they will struggle if they try to square up with any of the specialty or elite enemies that are coming. Those weird tentacles that burst forth from the ground, the burrowing monsters that were bigger, or the great and terrible lieutenants of and allies of the Illithids. They may be best taken care of by you and your friends. Now you've completed your 3 checks, and as you come to the end of this time of preparation, I want you to write down this ability. Landing on your feet. When the battlefield changes, you can change your position by anywhere within 20 feet. Vapos, I almost forgot.
Yep.
That 50% roll. You will be able to pump that up with key.
Okay.
So it's going to be a d20 roll. You're trying to roll 11 or higher. So controlling the cleanse. That's the name of your ability.
Cool.
Okay. Bella or Akiri, do you guys want to make your third roll?
Okay, I'll do it.
Right.
Akira's going to think back to the time when they were in Westhead. Is that the big city?
Yeah.
Okay. And the temple of Zhuork that was there. And thinking about that, her time serving and helping the other clerics and other clergy that served at that temple. She's going to start sanctifying the food that they have, the food and the drink, and while she's praying over it, she's asking that it gives extra, like an extra spring to their step, an extra helps their weary bones when they're fighting, that kind of thing.
Love it. Yeah, thinking back to the clerics of West End. Absolutely. Go ahead and make your roll with advantage. Ooh.
Max,
Yeah,
I have inspiration. Can I re-roll that?
you can. So bust that inspiration.
That's better.
Yes, that makes quite a difference, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Daughter of wind and sky, sister to Shadir, she who has tried to drink deeply of life. I greet you, young one. I greet you.
Sorry. Max, I didn't hear anything up until...
You didn't hear
Um,
any of that?
I didn't hear anything until you said,
Have you heard anything I've said tonight, or is it? Could anybody?
No,
hear
I
it?
have.
I was able to hear what you were saying.
But all I got was,
I don't know.
sister onwards.
Well, it was very cool. He called you daughter of wind
I
and
don't
sky.
know who that is, though. That didn't come through.
I didn't say who it was.
Oh, okay. Oh, so you just started at... Okay. Okay. Sorry, there's a really big gap there, and I couldn't...
Your god speaks to you.
So, okay,
He
okay.
makes you weak. You have to sit down. You can feel the drink flowing into your veins, warming you. And Jurk tells you in his month that on his feast day, he will be able not to help you directly, but to help you be greater than, to help you drink deep of your magic. So you get the ability to drink deep of magic for that day. And you will be able to, while on this battlefield, you will be able to concentrate. Actually, no, I guess it would work on any battlefield, because this is a Jurk-based ability. You will be able to concentrate on one additional spell, more than usual.
Ooh. Oh.
Wow.
Okay.
No, you only concentrate. You consecrated this battlefield, so it would only work on this battlefield. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
You'll be able to concentrate on one additional spell more than usual, while within the bounds of the area you've consecrated.
Gotcha.
In addition, if it's a spell like Bless, like that helps
Mm-hmm.
certain number of allies. So if it's specifically that kind of spell, not necessarily bless, but like bless or aid or something like that, it will be able to affect all your allies on that within the consecrated area. Which is this battlefield.
Sweet.
Bella.
I guess I'm the last one. Well, I mean, there's a lot to tell. But I guess that the final note that Bella wants to strike is she wants to talk about how those who dwell below have tried this kind of thing before. And in fact, how there have been so many cycles throughout history, thinking of things like the Empire of Ebb, where like civilizations have risen and fallen, but life has continued. And so I guess what she wants to talk about in the final verse or whatever is just the fact that, these people are big and scary and have big goals of overthrowing the gods. But in the end, they have always failed before, ultimately. And there's no reason not to think that they will continue to do so if the people of the Wildlands rise up against them, as we have been going around agitating for over the last 7 or 8 months.
Thinking back on all of that, you read on in your story. Go ahead and make a check with advantage.
Damn it. Can I use my inspiration?
You can. If you make a spell attack roll on your sheet, it'll be the right numbers.
All right, that's a 20. That's a little better.
Good thing you guys had inspiration saved up. At last, one came forward who was not legendary in size nor strength, a one-eyed survivor of a destroyed lizard folk village. She claimed she could succeed where the great champions had failed. Many laughed at the diminutive, stunted little green lizard folk. As she could no longer claim her brood matron's name after the destruction of their village, the little one took the local name of some of the cattails that grew along the banks of deep ponds, Typha. The great burned spirit, however, did not laugh. As king, he outfitted her like the rest and sent her into the thickest part of the mistmire. There, unseen by the keenest-eyed scouts, Typha journeyed among the thick mists just outside the village that hungry Kuna was coming for. Next, she paused at a deep pond where hatchlings used to fish. For luck, she picked some of the cattails that grew along the bank. The night of the Hydra's Blackfire Feast was terrible indeed. Tree houses were toppled and burned. Screaming scalefolk fled to the mists and were lost. Hundreds were devoured by the 16 heads of hungry Kuna. Using clever ambushes and traps, Typha cut many of the beast's heads. They always grew back, stronger and more horrifying than before. She couldn't stay close to the monster for long, but constantly had to flee as it burst through the mire and consumed everything in its path. Fire did nothing to its severed stumps, nor did any of the magical equipment Typha carried with her. As she strove to defend the doomed village, all of her weapons and defenses were broken or burned by the beast, driving her back. At last, she reached into her magic bag and found no more weapons, only a fistful of cattails. As she tossed them at Hungry Kuna and turned to run, Typha uttered a prayer to the old gods of the swamp. That did the trick. As the Hydra gobbled up the cattails along with Typha herself, the mist itself swirled and formed a shape. The mist mire rebelled against this supreme predator that ate so many lizard folk. Following the cattails, the spirit of mist entered the pyrohydra through mouth and nostrils. The black fire furnace in Kuna's chest churned and rumbled. A huge explosion marked the end of the beast. Typha perished, but her body was recovered by the grateful survivors. The burned spirit honored Typha's name as an eternal hero to her people. Supposedly, the king planted some special cattails in her honor over her grave, which lies somewhere in the ruins she tried to save. No doubt those plants contain some secret knowledge and dominion over the swamp to this day. And with that legend, and thinking about the tiny lizard folk standing up to the tremendous pyrohydra, which ties in perfectly with your memory, you come to the realization that on one of the battlefields, there will be your father and the other captured bards. And they can be freed by you and your companions, doing irrevocable damage to the plans of those who dwell below. You're going to need to succeed on some checks to free them. Fortunately, with these powers of yours, Bella, you will be able to let all anytime somebody uses a one of your bardic inspirations on a ability check, on a skill check, they will not lose the inspiration.
Oh, cool.
That's awesome.
Congratulations, Great Bard. That is your preparation, which takes you guys through an evening, through an entire day. And then you wake up the morning of the grand meeting of the Swordwings. They cluster thickly on top of the tower. They tell stories and laugh and sing songs. Some of them look weary from their patrols and a bit bedraggled from their battles, but they make merry nonetheless. Some of the Swordwings come forward, some of the those who wish to train, and they display their skills with Daisio himself looking on here atop the tower in the ancestral place of the knights. Some of the older and wiser members are speaking amongst each other, heads nodding or wagging, concerned looks, but they drop that concern to cheer on the younger Swordwing initiates. As the clouds swirl in, it begins to get dark early. And they are forced, as tradition holds, to light lamps against the oncoming night. Stand by for 1 sec. We might lose the stream here at the end, which would be unfortunate. Can you guys see that?
Yep.
And the one of the older, funnier sages whom you have spoken to before stands up suddenly and says, "The skies! Watch the skies!" The youngsters who are displaying their skills by dueling pause in their display and look around. And you see, amongst the swirling clouds, you begin to hear rain coming. The rain heavier, like a wall of water coming on toward you like nothing you've ever seen before. As though the very heavens themselves were furious with you. There's a noise down below toward the base of the spire. You can't see it, but you can hear it. Cracking stone and earth. And then you see the blossom of flame amongst the fire, amongst the rain, coming up from down below. Many of the Swordwings flap their wings and swoop down before the rain has come to see what's going on. And you hear a distant shout and a scream as a long purple tentacle erupts from the side of the spire itself. And grabs one of them, slamming it to the ground. That's where we're going to stop for tonight, guys. Thank you so much for staying up a little extra time.
Very cool.
We are going to hopefully play next week. Oh, wait. Yes, hopefully play next week. Who knows? We're just going to take it as it comes. I will definitely not be able to play, and I know Corey can't play either at the end of the month. But guys, that was a lot of fun. I hope you had fun too. I'm really, really glad to be back in the Wildlands campaign and playing into the climax. There were lots of great jokes in the chat from the man with the no screen name and Taladar. Thank you guys for hanging out. Much appreciated. Yes, you're welcome for streaming. Thank you to anyone who watches this later. You are awesome. Thank you to Jeremy, player of Breath the Barbarian. Thank you to M, player of Akiri, the Cleric. Thank you to Kirsten, or Kate, player of Bella the Bard. Thank you to Corey, player of Vapos the Monk. And as always, a big thank you to Danielle, player of Mavra, the fighter who was estimated early. We appreciate you all. Thank you guys. I had a lot of fun. I know it was all trip down memory lane and ability checks, but I really feel like the Wildlands is still alive because of that. So, thank you.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was really fun.
So, next time we're going to be rolling initiative.
All right.
So here we go. Here we go, guys. All right. Well, thank you. Good night. We are hopefully going to see you again soon. Take care, everybody.
Night, everyone.
Like,
Night, guys.